to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike, and I got my line mate Matt with me. Today, we're going to go over the Blackhawks' last couple of games. It has not been pretty, but first of all, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Got some big things planned for this year. Me and Matt have been doing the podcast for, I think this is our third year now. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to us. You know, we're really, really appreciative that we get to do this. That people interact with us on Twitter, and we're really appreciative of that. And here we go. How you doing, Matt? Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year to you. I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
So the Blackhawks lost to the Blue Jackets, and I think that you're right, man. This is one of the worst games for the Hawks. When they gave up those two shorties, I was just like, what the hell is going on? I think one of them, obviously they're both on the power play, but even Luke Richardson said it was one of the worst performances of the year, said that guys seemed disconnected. Isaac Phillips registered his first career point. He assisted on Anthony Siu's goal. I think that was his 8th goal of the season.
8th, yes.
Man, Anthony Siu, man, has been, I think, a pretty consistent driving force of the offense. Yes, the offense really hasn't been very much, but I feel like he's been, one of those guys kind of pushing it forward. How do you feel about his play?
Ever since he got clobbered by Trouba, the first game we played the Rangers, I maybe something ignited in him a little bit. He kind of got a little mean streak.
Yeah.
And, he was kind of trash talking him. This guy's making $8 million a year. He's only got like 3 goals, and
he had none at the time.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like, geez, come on, man. You can't be saying that stuff. But I feel like maybe ever since he kind of went out and said that, he's been scoring some really nice goals.
Yeah.
And, he's a really speedster. I think somebody out there, might want to grab this guy for the playoffs. He could be a dangerous weapon if he had some, more support, I think.
Right. Stalock had 34 saves and continues to be a bright spot for the team. Man, I really like this guy. I think that he's a bit older and obviously some injury issues, but I think that he's been playing pretty well. Do you think that, maybe other teams are starting to take notice and that he could be someone that, another team wants to pick up for the playoffs, maybe at Edmonton?
Well, I don't know about Edmonton, but I think that the NHL might be on notice with this guy. He's having some really good games. He's not really giving up that many soft goals. He competes hard. And when he got injured, he was kind of on a little hot streak too before that. And I personally would like to see the Hawks re-sign him another year. Yeah. If you're just, if you're still building, I mean, what's the sense? This guy wants to be here. He's playing hard every night, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, obviously we're built to lose, and that's what we're doing right now. Mrazek on one hand, man, it seems like he starts off games solid, and then it kind of goes downhill kind of as the game goes on. Stalock has been playing pretty consistently through the entire games. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think Mrazek he let up some kind of questionable goals yesterday. He was kind of down early, and they were beating him short side, and that can't happen. Especially even if you're a bad team, you still can't be giving up goals like that. But
right.
For Stalock, this guy, he's like a different styled goalie. I don't think he really has much of a style. Like, most goalies are hybrid butterfly guys. He's kind of just a guy who stop the puck any way I can and compete hard. And he does compete. And I don't know if you caught, I think it was the Blue Jackets game. They had like a hot mic on. He dropped an F-bomb. F you, Johnny. I think he was talking to Goudreau. And I just remember hearing Troy Murray just laughing his ass off. And so he's kind of he's got a little mean streak in him too, which is kind of cool to see a goalie do. Usually they're kind of quiet and focused, but this guy, he's kind of playing the game in the game,
Yeah, he skated over to the corner. I think Johnny Taser got checked, and he went into the corner and broke the guy's stick. Who
that's
did
right. That was a couple weeks ago. You're right. Yeah, the guy went off on him too. Yeah. He goes, "Why'd you break my stick?" And if you think about it, it's like a freaking $200 stick. He just stepped on and cracked it.
Yeah.
But That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. During that Blue Jackets game, he had a beautiful save, stick save. It was
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
he like turned, put his hand out,
paddle.
desperation. I think that was on Goudreau. He shot it, went right off of his stick. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he saved that.
And that's got to be a save of the year candidate for sure. That was a big one.
Yeah, because he had the whole net.
He had the whole net. Open net. I don't know why Johnny Hockey just didn't fire it. Like he was like lining it up.
Yeah,
I got to hit the top bar and put it down. It's gonna look good.
Yeah,
but he got the paddle on there. Oh man, it was a beautiful save.
So the Hawks lost to the Sharks on Sunday, 5-2. It was a pretty ugly night. The Hawks had jumped ahead though. I mean, it was a 2-0 lead at one point. Kaner had a great goal from assisted by Mitchell with the primary assist. Glad to see Ian Mitchell finally getting that playing time I think that he deserves. Kaner had a beautiful goal. Goalie didn't have his stick, and it just went top shelf on him. And then Lafferty had a really nice goal from Anthony Naciu using his speed and kind of just setting up I think he was kind of aiming for his skates, but luckily Lafferty had his stick in position to get the puck in. What did you think of yesterday's game, man? I would probably say maybe the first period.
Oh yeah, the Hawks look good. I think you and I were texting, and I even said, "Man, Kaner's got a lot of jump tonight.
Yeah.
He's moving. He's getting breakaways. He didn't score on the one, but he's a threat out there. And not every night we could say that lately with him. But he had a nice goal, and lately I've been kind of hard on goalies on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it, but this goalie, what's the Sharks goalie? His name is
Korpisalo?
Kakinen.
So
he lost his stick behind the net.
Oh, right.
This is where Mitchell made his good play. So he drops his stick. I don't know, I look at this stupid stuff. I'm probably the only one. Maybe other goalies do it too, but he went to challenge Kane's shot. He had his blocker on the ice. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? And usually, you're holding your stick and your blocker's pretty much even with your waist. But he had his top of the blocker pretty much sitting on the ice it's acting like a stick.
Right.
And I was like, dude, what are you? Patrick Kane has the puck. And sure enough, Kaner buried it over his shoulder.
Right.
Blocker side. I just don't know what's going on with goalies these days. They're just being taught different than I am. And they're just going down a lot. And especially in World Juniors, I don't know if you've seen Connor Bedard. He's absolutely lighting it up. He is putting the puck where there's absolutely no room, and the goalies are down. They leave that little bit of daylight, maybe 4 inches, and Bedard buries it. And I'm looking, he's shooting it from the sideboards.
Really?
And on the goal line. That's a crazy angle. And I was just taught to stand up, hug the post, keep your stick down. It's either going to hit me in the chest, it's going to hit me off my blocker and go to the slot, which you don't want. But these goalies now, they're just dropping down so easy, and they're just making themselves look smaller, and they're big guys.
Yeah.
I really don't understand. It's like the new thing with goaltending, and I saw it with the Sharks goal yesterday. I'm like, dude, you got to be at least over 6'3", 6'2". You're all the way crouched down, and Patrick Kane has the puck.
Yeah.
He absolutely lit him up. So that's just something I noticed. Just it's teaching goalies different nowadays, and I don't like it, man. I hate it, actually.
Yeah, I could tell. So do you think that it's just like a league wide, like a game wide, that they're teaching goalies this style?
I think it's just a new thing because, like I said, with World Juniors, these young goalies, they're getting beat by terrible goals, very stoppable pucks. There was actually another NHL game. I think it was Jake Ottinger. So the puck was behind the net. Jake Ottinger dropped to his butterfly, and the guy banked it off his head, and it went in. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? There's a guy on Twitter I talked to. He's a goalie guy, and he's a goalie coach, actually. He's like, if my goalies do this, I make them do tons of up and downs and stuff. He's like, I'm not tolerating it. I want them hugging the post, staying on their feet. Now it's it's the new thing. I think they call it the reverse. I don't even know the term, but it's a butterfly thing. they're trying to take away the low shots, like coming from the short side. But when they do that, they're exposing the top of the ice or the top of the net like that, like over the shoulder. When you're down the shoulder to the crossbar, there's an opening there, and these goalies they're getting beat. And that's why I think the Michigan goal, it's going in more now. We're seeing guys take chances on that now because these goalies are down and out, and these guys are so skilled now. They're like, okay, if you're going to be down and give me that net, I'm taking it. Like Zegras, that Svechnikov guy on the Hurricanes, he's another guy that does that. But we're going to see a lot more of this if these goalies don't kind of play their size. They're playing small. I really don't get it, because I'm 5'8". I would kill to be 6'3", to be a goalie. I'd be like, damn, look how much net I'm covering. Why am I going down and making myself smaller? So it's just something I noticed, and it's just been driving me freaking crazy.
Do you think it could be because that they're thinking, hey, you know what? Why don't we just take away the bottom, because it's harder for guys to lift up the puck and get it high?
Well, they're taking away the bottom because they're just playing the percentages. Most of the shots, if they're covering the, from post to post with their butterfly,
yeah,
good chances are it's going to hit the pad. Good chances are it's going to hit their chest if they're square to the puck. But what they're doing is they're going down very early. Sometimes they're down before the shot. The guy's even winding up for a shot, and I'm looking, and they like to use that butterfly to push off. Now it's to push off to the other side and push yourself off the post for a one-timer pass, backdoor shot. But I don't agree with it, and I don't know. Like Stalock, he's a goalie that does not do this. He's like one of the guys that I don't notice. But these newer kids, even Soderblom, he's down early. He was getting beat a couple goals. I think the game I went to against the Jets, he was down really early in a bad angle, and I forget who shot. I think it was that Kyle Connor kid who's got a really good shot. He picked him. He just sniped him. And I just noticed there's not a lot of talk about it anymore. It's just the old school goalies on here that are maybe between the age of 30 and 40, maybe 50s. I always see them bitch like, what's going on with goaltending? It's terrible lately.
Yeah. Well, before we go on any further, I want to give you guys a word from our sponsor, Manscaped. They have a new product where they have developed their own loofah, and I'll tell you what, this thing's freaking amazing. I use it. It's like, Matt, how would you describe this thing? It's like the typical loofahs, like this, the plastic weave wrap that you use like soap, and it, I think you need to change them every month or so. But
it's like a rubber comb.
Yeah, it's like this really rubber, good. Like jelly, like type of little things. And I'll tell you what, man, when you use it like across your body, it's much more pleasant than using a traditional loofah. And it's kind of ironic, man, because I've been looking for something new, something different. And, they sent us this thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm going to try this out, tried it out. And it works absolutely fantastic. If you go to manscaped.com, look for their loofah. Matt, have you used yours yet?
Yes, I have. I've actually used the whole kit they gave me, and it's an awesome A+ kit. It is awesome.
Yeah, I it's so funny, man, because I asked Kimmy, I was like, my wife, I was like, do they make anything else other than like,
ball stuff?
No, like loofahs. I asked her, I'm like, hey, can you find me like a new loofah, something different than the traditional one? And she's like, what the hell do you mean? I'm like, I just need something that's different from like the traditional loofah. And then
with the stick, the long stick with the little.
God, it's like everything's terrible, man. So
cheap. This is built. It's good.
Yeah.
My kids were looking. What is that, Dad? It looks like a cactus. Or something. I'm like, it doesn't feel like one. It feels really good.
Yeah. It's called the Body Buffalo Silicone Scrubber. Yeah. And it works absolutely fantastic. You can get it at manscaped.com. Use our code Tomahawk20. You get 20% off your order. So, Matt, now that we've talked about goaltending, it's something that I've wanted to talk about because something that I've noticed. Let's talk about. I want to talk about Ian Mitchell and Isaac Phillips. I think Ian Mitchell was probably our highest touted prospect for a while on the defensive side of the puck. This is his year to make to make his case. I belong with the NHL, and he hasn't been getting his playing time, and he should be, especially considering who the Blackhawks have been putting out there on the defensive side of the puck. I think that Ian Mitchell should be playing every night. That being said, Isaac Phillips seems pretty solid as well, and if this guy's playing well, I think he should be getting time every night as well. Most recently, the Blackhawks paired Mitchell with Phillips. Do you think that this is a pairing that they should have going, say, every game for the rest of the season?
Absolutely. I think that those two will complement each other because Phillips is more of the stay-at-home, responsible guy in his own end defenseman. And we know Mitchell is kind of like, he likes to skate it. He likes to lead the offense at times, and he can do it. He's actually pretty good in his own end too.
Yeah, he is.
I think these two played together in Rockford, and I think they've done well together. And they're familiar with each other. They know their habits. I think I'd leave it like this for the rest of the year. Let's see if Mitchell and Phillips, have a chance to be a top pairing one day, because we got Korchinski, who's been lightening it up in the World Juniors, and we got Nolan Allen, who's having a pretty good tournament as well. So those are like another wave coming up. It'd be good to have some guys with experience, and then you get these kids that come up that have experience together as well. Nolan Allen and Korchinski, you got Del Maestro. It gives you a lot of hope for the future, man.
Yeah, I think that's what we, obviously the Blackhawks have been harping about rebuilding, but in this rebuilding process, they need to give these guys who, these young guys who have been down in Rockford, who have kind of paid their dues, an opportunity to play. If I need to be so bold, I'll say that maybe Caleb Jones should sit so one of these players can play, starting with Ian Mitchell, and then from there. I don't want to beat up on Connor Murphy, but it could be the system, but sometimes he's swimming around out there,
Yeah. Or losing his helmet.
Luckily he hasn't done that, too much this season, but
it's glued. They glued it probably.
Okay. But
there was actually a hot rumor. I don't mean to interrupt you. There is a rumor of teams looking for experienced veteran defenseman, and I did see Connor Murphy and Jake McCabe's name on that list as well.
Really?
So this would be a good opportunity for Ian Mitchell and Isaac Phillips to get their chance.
I actually wanted to get into Jake McCabe in a second, but obviously I want to just stress the point that I want Ian Mitchell and Isaac Phillips playing. I think that I've seen enough of Caleb Jones. He's not exactly what we're looking for. Thanks, but it's time for some of the younger guys to come up, man. It's just time for that. We're on Monday, January 2nd, about halfway through the season. It's about time to get these guys, let them get used to the rigors of playing an 82-game season, and it just benefits them all. You mentioned that, that people might be interested in Connor Murphy. Okay, but Jake McCabe, I think, has some very good leadership qualities. I think that he's a good defenseman, man. I like the guy. I think that he needs a partner that can complement his game, which is somewhat of a stay-at-home defenseman. He's not somebody who you're going to give the puck to and he's going to skate it up into the offensive zone. That's more of an Ian Mitchell type of play. But I think that McCabe could provide leadership for some younger defensemen coming up. Do you think that maybe letting Connor Murphy go if the package is right and keeping Jake McCabe, or would you rather keep Connor Murphy?
I would rather keep Jake McCabe, but I've read also articles about Jake McCabe getting very frustrated with losing. He goes, I've been on very bad teams for most of my career, and I want a taste of winning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, maybe this guy's sick of this crap and he wants out. But I don't hear too much about Connor Murphy complaining. He seems to be a pretty professional guy.
He is.
I think he's happy where he's at. But nothing against him. I've never really seen the hype with him. I've seen him make good plays, and that's his job. But as for a guy making $4 million when you're rebuilding, it's not like I don't feel like he's really helping as much as, they're like, say like a Patrick Kane. Obviously, he's got all that experience. You got Tyler Johnson, who's got cup experience. Connor Murphy really hasn't done much in this league, and he hasn't really been on winning teams either. So I personally, like you said, I would like to see, honestly, if we can get draft capital for both of them, I'd like to see Mitchell and Phillips get their fair shot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of McCabe, so I'd hate to see him go, but
I am too.
I totally understand. I mean, he played for Buffalo for a long time. They had some really, really bad teams there. Probably worse than the Hawks, to be honest with you.
Yeah, probably.
Which is rough. And when he was initially traded here, the idea was that they're going to be looking to compete, and that's not the case anymore. But he's a professional. He goes out there and competes. I'll tip my hat to him.
Actually, he signed here, I believe.
Right.
I think 4 years at $4 million, $16 million contract. So he got paid for being on a bad team too.
Yeah.
And I guess, remember, if we can go back, the plan was that this was going to be Seth Jones's like Brent Seabrook,
right?
Like you're going to have to do your thing, and you're going to be paired up with Seth Jones. And I feel like we've only got to see maybe a handful of games with those two together. But I thought they did okay. But it's just the coaching. Sometimes the coaches don't like the matchups, and I didn't like the matchup the other day. I didn't think Isaac Phillips should be playing with Connor Murphy. I mean, Isaac Phillips needs to play with a guy like
he's played with
Ian Mitchell. You don't need two of the same guys unless you plan on shutting them down the whole game, and you're not exactly the best shutdown guy out there. It's not like I'm putting Johnny Oduya and Jarmelson. I mean, those guys, they're not going to produce any offense. They're going to get the puck, get it to the red line, and dump it in, or they're going to block 100 shots and get the puck to the wingers and get it out as fast as they can. That was a great pairing, and these guys don't do that.
Yeah.
So
Oduya could skate with the puck, though. I would say skate with the puck better than Connor Murphy and Isaac Phillips so far.
The very underrated defenseman Johnny Oduya was, and once he was paired up with the Hammer, that was a money shutdown freaking pair right there.
Yeah, it was.
Especially when you got Keith and Siebes playing over 20 minminutes. Those guys could easily play 20 minutes too.
Oh, they were. A lot of times they were pairing them against the top line offense.
And they showed like they were awesome.
Yeah.
And 2 cups and great pairing. And hopefully one day we can get back there because, like I said, Nolan Allen seems to be, and Korchinski, I think these guys could probably play in the NHL. That's how good they are. But they're just taking the patience road, which is probably the right thing to do. But I think they probably could be on this Hawks team right now.
Moving on to some NHL news, we're going to talk about probably your first or second favorite hockey player, Erik Karlson. Erik Karlson had 2 assists against the Blackhawks, and it put him at 53 points for the season. He sits at the top for points by a defenseman with 39 games played, 13 goals, 40 assists, and 53 points, plus minus rating of -6. Now, man, it really depends on what you're looking for in a player. Like, say for instance, if I'm looking to build around my blue line, obviously somebody like Cale Makar would be the first thing that comes to a lot of people's minds, and someone you would want to build your blue line around, because not only is he great in the offensive zone, but he's also very good defensively. Someone like Erik Karlson, I would think, is more like an offensive specialist that could be a bit of a detriment to you on the defensive side of the puck. He's got, how many points does he have in his career? I think he's got 700 career points, and he's a minus 86 for his career, meaning that whenever he's on the ice, you can count on production being done against your team. He's not necessarily my cup of tea. If he was on my team, I'd probably move him to wing. Matt, do you think that there is a someone with a plus minus, which, we can have a conversation about it being a flawed statistic, should win the Norris Trophy?
No. Even if he finishes with 100 points and he's a -20, that's not a defenseman.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't know how people feel about it now. I know a lot of the younger fans, they like points, they like fast hockey, stuff like that. But I think the guys that, like, say, Victor Hedman, Cale Makar, even Adam Fox, they play well in their own zone too. And even right now, Josh Morrissey on the Jets, that is my guy for the Norris Trophy. As if it ended today, I'd give it to Josh Morrissey because he plays well in his own zone. He's putting up good numbers. It almost seems like okay, Karlson will get you, he'll get you 2 points, but then he'll be on the ice for 2 goals against, and it's like, okay, what's the point of that?
Or
it's like a wash. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, I've always been tough on the guy. I've never really. I'm just because I'm more of a Joe Pavelski fan. And Erik Karlson gave Joe Pavelski the boot once they signed him. And that, we've talked about it before. I thought Joe Pavelski was the Jonathan Taves of the Sharks. And he got him close to cups. He's still a really good player. We'll get into him in a couple minutes, but you signed this guy for $13 million a year, and he's finally putting up points. And it's crazy because he's getting older.
Yeah,
but
32.
The team's terrible. I mean, the Sharks have said they're going to be rebuilding, retooling, and stuff like that. But I mean, no one wanted to take this contract on.
Yeah,
and
that
caused Brent Burns to get shoved out the door. And look at him now. He's on the Carolina Hurricanes. He's the top pairing guy. He's putting up points. That team's on a freaking crazy ride right now. I think they got a 17 game point streak going on or whatever. Antti Ranta's in that. I think he had 3 shutouts in a row. That team's gonna, they're gonna make some noise. But the Sharks, man, they had to keep this guy $13 million a year, and he doesn't play defense.
Yeah,
he just puts up points. It's crazy to me.
Like the other night, he had 2 assists, and he was still a -2.
Yeah, so what's the point? It's just, it washed out. It's good for himself. Like, he's putting up, good numbers, and he's on pace, I think they said, for 100 points. The first time since, I think, 91, I think I last read, that a defenseman's got over 100 points. It's incredible. And look he's on one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, if he's doing this, say, like Cale Makar on his team, like, that's impressive, because his plus minus, he'd probably be a plus player, but he's just not responsible in his own end. I really don't understand the hype with this guy. And I don't know if you remember maybe a year ago, we were having an argument with this kid about it. And I think I said something like, I'll take Nick Jarmelson for $4 million a year. And he's like, are you crazy? I'm like, no. Nick Jarmelson has 3 Stanley Cups. He blocks shots. He's a plus player, meaning he's a responsible guy. He takes care of his own end. And Erik Karlson, say he gets 80 points. He's a -19. And he leaves his like we were talking too. How would you like to be that guy's partner?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to be playing 2-on-1s my whole game. So I'm either going to I'm going to be by myself on hot man rushes all night, or I'm going to have to, or like even you got to have a good center to cover for him. And the Sharks don't have that. They don't have a good guy that can play with Karlson.
Let's, here, I'm going to read this off to you. Last 3 years for Erik Karlson, starting in 2021, 52 games played, 22 points, -18. 21-22, 50 games played, 35 points, -14. Last year, this year, 22-23, he's got 53 points, and he's a -6. So this is the best season he's had in quite a while.
He's playing.
He hasn't played more than 53 games a season since 2018, 2019.
Yeah, that was the couple COVID years.
Oh, COVID wasn't until 2 years after that.
Well, he had a pretty bad injury, I think, when he just signed with the Sharks. But he was going to be paired with Brent Burns, and Brent Burns is a really good defense, a good 2-way defenseman. And it just just wasn't working out, and leading to like they signed this guy, and it comes to paying your captain, your freaking heart and soul of the team, and we'll let you go for nothing. He goes to Dallas, Joe Pavelski, and he's still putting up unbelievable numbers, and he's really good in the playoffs. They call him Captain America. And it's probably why I'm just so bitter, because I'm a big Joe Pavelski fan.
Yeah.
And Erik Karlson is the reason why he's gone. And it's not because Joe Pavelski wants to get paid. It's because they gave too much money to a guy who's playing forward.
So on his career, he's got 713 points, and he's a minus 83. Nicholas Jarmelson, on the other hand, only has 172 points, but he's a plus 106. So
and look at the blocks.
I mean,
over 1,000.
That's, I mean, just that alone, dude, is an incredible statistic. 172 points, 100 he's a plus 106,
and 3-time Stanley Cup champion.
Right.
And this is why they need to make an award for like
guys on the defensive side of the puck.
Defenseman guys. Yeah, the guys that good plus minus, lot of block shots, just stuff like that. And guys playing against top guys every night. And if you want to keep the Norris Trophy as a point thing, yeah, give it to Erik Karlson. He deserves it. He's putting up good numbers, but he's a minus, dude. That's not a defenseman.
Right. Moving on. The Winter Classic, Penguins, played the Bruins at Fenway
today. Yeah.
So I didn't watch the game.
I'm not watching. It's already been done before.
Yeah,
it's already been at Fenway. Come on, let's get some new teams in there and forget about the Hawks. Forget about Detroit for a while. The Penguins, the Bruins, the Flyers. Let's go out west.
Yeah,
it's cold that way. You can make it work. You had a game in freaking L.A.
Yeah,
it could be done. And actually, it's cool because they did announce that the next Winter Classic will be in Seattle.
That's cool.
The Kraken will take on the Golden Knights, and I the last two expansion teams. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and believe it or not, the Kraken, the market is doing very well. They're selling out games. The attendance is good, and that's a good move by the NHL because it's working out there.
Joe Pavelski signed a 1-year, $3.5 million contract with the Stars. Matt, do you want to go over his stats really quick?
Sure, yeah. So he's 38 years old, which is still impressive. He's got 38 games played, 12 goals, 25 assists, and 37 points, and he's a plus 23. So this is the guy that, this was your heart and soul in San Jose, and they let him go for nothing. But I'm a big fan of this guy. They call him Captain America. He's still putting up numbers. He's a point-a-game guy. He's very close to 1,000, actually. He's about 40 points away, and he's got 1,206 games played. So he's a very, very good player. And in the playoffs, this guy, he shows up. So this is a good move for Dallas because you got Jason Robertson, Rupe Hentz coming up. This is a guy that you want in the locker room with these young future stars here.
Yeah. Pavelski is also, leading a Dallas team that is, I believe, at the top of the Central, aren't they?
Yeah, Dallas is a surprise to me. Nashville's struggling. They're kind of trying to get hot. I think they're 1 or 2 games above 500. St. Louis just got some bad news. The Ryan O'Reilly's out with a broken hand, I believe.
Wow.
Or I forget. He broke something, but he's going to be out for some time. Tarasenko's out with another shoulder injury, I think. So maybe the Blues are going to be tanking, which is kind of bad news because you don't want any Connor Bedard stories going that way.
No competition, no Bedard competition.
No.
The Stars are already set for the people that are tanking. No, the Hawks are one of them. I think that it would be nuts if we got him, but we're definitely going to get a good. I think we'll get a good prospect, man.
Yeah, we'll get a good guy. I think the Bedard thing. I think Bedard will make the jump. Right away.
Right away. Yeah.
I think the other guys might maybe need a year in the minors, but you're still going to be getting a good player. But I think the teams that are very, very clear about the tank, Montreal, Arizona, the Hawks, even Columbus now is joining the discussion, and which is kind of scary. So, dude, we're hoping. In my opinion, I think he'll end up with the Hawks or he'll end up with the Canadiens, just because the NHL needs it to happen. He needs to be on an original 6 team and not rot away in the desert.
Yeah.
I don't care what you got to do. Put some more weight on the balls Canadians, Hawks, make it happen, because he can't go to the desert. That's like Austin Matthews getting drafted by the Coyotes. And if the freaking dude is potting 60 goals in front of a freaking college crowd at the freaking Southwest Ice Arena in Elsip, come on, man. This guy needs a full building, and he's electric. So they got to make it happen.
Well, everybody, that's all that we've got for you this week. Thanks a lot for listening. We really appreciate it. If there's anything that you want us to talk about, get us on Twitter. We'll, send us a message at Chicago Tomahawk, and, we'll feature it on the show. We like hearing what other people have to say, what other people want to hear, and be sure to let us know. But that's all we got for you tonight. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.